Alright, welcome to the Men's Corner. We back live in action, man. We've been sitting away for about 4 or 5 years, man. We back in the den. We done changed studios up on these people, man. We got my man Faheem back in the thing, B behind the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cameras. And we got my main man Mike Powell in the building today, man. Gonna start us off real right.
Yes, indeed.
And we gonna get this thing jumping real fast, like. You dig? Go ahead and say a little something to these people, Faheem.
And we just want to let y'all know, man, we're happy to be back here. For those that don't know, this is the Men's Corner. We're going to add a little twist to it. He's the bass, I'm the trouble. Don't let that bother you. So that's our new tag. He's the bass, I'm the trouble. Not trouble, the trouble. You know how to spell it, you know, it only depends on where you come from. So we're thankful to have you guys join us back for another fantastic segment of the Men's Corner. And we're going to jump right into this thing, man, and welcome our guests along with the fantastic southpaw that he is, Michael Powell, baby.
We got to run out of all his nicknames. We got the MP,
yeah,
Freaky Powell, Mike Powell, because his name Michael.
I don't know where it got cut short. It got cut short somewhere.
Hey, and for those that really don't, you can call him Pinky. Ask him why. He called him Pinky. Yes, indeed, baby.
And stay on the RE joint. The burnt RE is up.
Michael Powell is in the house. Yes, sir.
That was his young days. Yeah, we gonna jump right there, man. When you started playing basketball, though, Mike?
Oh man, this story I gave this story at Elite 100 camp probably about a couple of months ago. A lot of folks didn't understand. I really didn't start playing basketball, organized basketball, until I got to Anacostia.
Wow.
I dabbled in it. Like I played football growing up. My uncles were football players. They went to Dunbar. My uncle Adam was an all-met wide receiver. So I played football my whole life, middle school. Even when I ventured off or began to play basketball, like in clubs and stuff like that, like it just still wasn't anything that I really took seriously. Like I still was sort of kind of chasing football. And then once I fell in love with it a little more, like towards middle school, you know, kept trying to go out, got cut. You know, so I would go do boys club stuff, which, like I said, wasn't really super organized. And you know, 8th grade, go back. I'm at Frank Scott Key Middle School, District Heights, Maryland. Shout out to Frank Scott Key and all my homies from there. I got cut again, and didn't understand why, but I understood the circles that I ran through. It wasn't until probably about 20 years later where I thought about it. Like I was a bookworm, so I was a nerd in school. I was in the magnet program. Most of the guys that made up the team were outside of that. So, and I didn't really swing it with them like that. I didn't hang with them like that. So, we go on from Frank Scott Key. We make it to Suitland High School. Said, okay, somebody gonna give me a chance. I'm still playing football. I still love it. But I really wanted to switch. I said, man, I want to play basketball in high school. Go out for the Suitland team. Cut again. You know what I'm saying?
So you was like the original Michael, huh?
Yeah.
Keep getting cut.
Yeah. So then now that's when it started to bother me. Because initially I said, okay, I knew I was new to this thing, but it started to bother me. So my second year at Suitland, I got cut again. That's when my grades started to sort of be affected by it. Like I really started to get challenged mentally. Like again, unbeknownst to me, like I just started to get challenged a lot. Didn't really want to go to school, didn't really want to go to class. I could not figure out like why isn't life happening for me? You know what I'm saying? I'm seeking out something, I want to do it, but it ain't happening for me. So what I ended up doing was I almost got expelled from school at Suitland because of my attendance. Uncles pulled me to the side. They was like, you know, academics is first. Of course, my mom has always been on top of me academically. So I settled back in, you know, finished up that school year. Not great, but I finished it up. And that summer, Suitland hosted a summer league every year. So I was there working the clock and just trying to find my way. And my mentor, God rest his soul, Kevin Hargrove, just happened to be there with Anacostia High School.
Okay.
Like they were playing in the summer league. And so in between, the quarters, the halves, the kids go out there now, get up shots. So I'm going out there getting up shots, I'm dunking and everything now. So Kevin knew, like, we kind of lived across the street from each other. He's like, Mike, how you don't play, man? I was like, nah. I said, I keep trying, man, and I just keep getting cut. I said, I don't know what it is. He said, I'm just looking for an opportunity to play, so maybe you can help me work on my game, and maybe I can come out next year and I can give it a try again, my junior year. And so I didn't know he had another plan, like working up, so he went back, talked to his dad, of course, Tommy Hargrove, and came over and they talked to my mother a little bit about potentially, transferring to Anacostia High School and see if I wanted to give it a shot. And I said, okay, sounds okay. It sounds like it's going towards what I want to do. Mom shot it down. No sides. She shot that down. She said no. She said, you're going to school, you're going to get your schoolwork done, you're going to get your grades done, and you're going to graduate on time.
Right.
And so I said, okay, Mom, I just got to take it.
You can't buck that.
So behind the scenes, we working, and find myself in the counselor's office with Kevin, trying to get a copy of my transcript, see what it looks like. So get a copy of the transcript, and of course my grandparents and a lot of my family members lived in DC, so didn't really talk to them yet, just started utilizing sort of their addresses and everything, and sort of moved with my grandmother without letting her know I was moving, or my uncle or my mother, and transferred to Anacostia.
Wow.
So
you could transfer
you could
yourself.
just, all it was you get the paperwork done. They was gonna let you rock. So I'm there for about a month. Now every morning I'm waking up because the bus was right outside my mother's house.
Right.
Every morning I'm waking up. I'm getting on the school bus to go to Suitland. I go up to Suitland. I get off the bus. I walk through from the back. I don't know if anybody went to Suitland High School, so you would walk in from the back. Walk in from the back, I walk straight out the front door, because it was still like class hadn't started yet.
Right.
Walk straight out the front door, right to where the P12 was in front of Suitland.
Right.
Get on the P12 and take me. Crazy stories, man. Crazy story.
That's crazy.
I did that for a month, and I told my uncle, who's really close with. I said, I'm at Anacostia, and I don't know how to tell my mother. He's like, what? I said, yeah, man. I said, it was an opportunity I needed to take advantage of.
Yeah.
Like, I saw it as a great, just change of pace. I said, and I'm committed to it. I said, I'm gonna get my schoolwork done, all that stuff. I'm scared to tell her. I just need her to support me. And he was like, nephew, you gotta tell her. And of course, eventually I did. Of course, we know what happened. Like, she flew off the handle. And then eventually she calmed down and she was like, you better get there, you better be at school on time, you better be at school every day, you better get your work done. And then that's when I made the conversion. It had nothing to do with any of that other than the fact that the love transference from football to basketball was so heavy. And I just couldn't shake it, and I got tired of seeing guys I thought I was equal to or maybe better than getting an opportunity, and I wasn't getting a fair shot. You know what I'm saying? And it was just a point in my life where I was just like, man, this just can't keep happening. You had a whole lot of setbacks when you're young. Growing up in the 80s and the 90s, of course, dealing with, them dudes that was out there, selling what they were selling. So when you tried to, look the right way and dress the right way, but you couldn't because we ain't have a whole lot of money. That just wasn't where we came from. Like, it was just always a struggle. That's what girls looked at. I ain't always had the best clothes, the best shoes, none of that stuff. So, never had a regular haircut. You know what I'm saying? Probably got your haircut back then probably every 4 to 6 weeks. You know what I'm saying? So, you woofing, you roughing it a little bit. And this I saw as an opportunity because when I would be at the park, even like middle school, 7th, 8th, 9th grade, as I was getting better, I just saw like how people responded to it.
Yeah.
And I wanted that because I wasn't getting any attention any other way. And I go down to Costia and we get started. And I meet this guy, becomes one of my lifelong friends, Black, Mr. Jermaine Langley, my brother, my dog. And we just had open gym.
Yeah.
And he like, hey man, where you from? And I, break it down to him. He said, you're gonna be something. And again, I'm starting to hear stuff that I never heard before because I keep getting cut. So I'm like, how he saying something? So the season gets started in December and I'm on the bench.
But you ain't cut.
I ain't cut. But I'm on the bench.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm just on the bench and we play a couple of games, play a couple of scrimmages first, and I get a little bit of time. We go to Camden, New Jersey. We played Camden High School and was able to get a few minutes and came back from that. And we're playing the regular season in December, just not getting anything going.
Yeah.
So we play Archbishop Carroll, which is funny how God works for me to end up there. We play Archbishop Carroll, and I'm on the bench, and Carroll is blowing us out by like 20. I think Hargo put me in with maybe a couple of minutes left in the game. It was just garbage time.
Yeah.
And I get a rebound, and I go length of the floor, chest to chest. We always, talk about it, joke about it over Mr. George McDaniel.
Oh my God.
So that was just like one of the first highlights ever, and everybody like, who is this guy? So from that game we go out of town, we go down to Alabama to play Sprite Magic City Classic that was down there, and we go out again. I'm on the bench, and of course, like my dogs, Dave, Miles, Mo Talley, that's who I'm playing behind.
Yeah.
Those two, like that was the backcourt. So I'm playing behind them. Keith was playing. Of course, Keith Davis was on that team, and Keith was one of the other starters. And we go down there, we play the first game, and we lose. So Hargo Brink calls me into the office. To his room. He said, Mike, I want to talk to you. He said, you pretty much doing what like some of the starters are doing in terms of production. He said, so I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna start you tomorrow, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah.
So we were in the losers bracket after the first loss. You know how tournaments would be where it was double overtime. Double elimination. So we were in the loser side, but we still had an opportunity to play for some hardware. And he let me play that first game and just let me kind of be who I was. Ended up with a triple-double, and we go all the way over to the championship. We win the loser bracket championship. I get all tournament team, and we come back, and then life was totally different. Like that's when sort of my basketball career took off. And from that point on, man, I didn't look back in terms of basketball for that segment, like for my high school years. Of course, there were setbacks as I continued to grow and get older, but that sparked my basketball high school career, and it gave me some life, it gave me some hope, and it gave me some promise. And so then, of course, now it was, okay, how are we going to get you into school? Because you look like you're pretty good.
Yeah.
I said, really? I said, I can play in college? He said, yeah.
But listen though, if football was your first sport, where did the game come from? Did you have, because I don't think we had AAU in your time, did you?
YBA, CYO basketball.
Yeah, I didn't play any of that.
Yeah, so where did the skills come from?
Just watching TV and just going out to the court every day.
Okay.
Watching the Showtime Lakers as they were coming along, and just going out to the court every single day, just playing and just trying different things, and things just becoming it was just very natural, like the movement, the flow of the game. I don't know why I picked it up so easy. And again, I was still a big time football player, because eventually I did play football at Anacostia and got recruited in that sport as well. Just fortunate and blessed to just kind of be a pretty big time athlete, but didn't realize I was. I was just out there doing what I did every day at the playground. So I thought that was just this is just what it was.
So what was your go-to move? 'Cause I know about the go-to move. You got older. So did you have that go-to move when you was young?
I did have a go-to move when I was younger, and I think this was more after. What's my man for the Bullets? Steve Coulter.
Oh yeah.
I used to do my move was an in and out to a crossover, or in and out to a behind the back. Like that was my go-to move when I was young.
Right.
Like nobody could stay in front of me when I did that. And where I sort of learned a couple of moves also, I forgot, up at Oak Crest Rec Center when I ran into Pep.
Mm-hmm.
Man, Pep was playing like that's what he was doing.
Pep Tyson.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Earl Tyson, like that's what he was doing. And he up there, he doing crossovers, and I'm jumping side to side. I don't know what's going on. But like he still couldn't, even after the crossover, I was right back because I was just that athletic.
Right.
It's like he just couldn't get away from me. But then we sat and talked afterwards, and he started teaching me a couple of things, and I picked that up. So I went back to the playground, and I'm practicing this, and I'm practicing this. And I just incorporated that into the little move that I had, because I was real fast, real quick, and real athletic. So just sort of added that. And as I got older, I ran into another dude. When I ran into Starbury, you know what I'm saying, out of New York City, we was at BC All-Stars was the camp. And I was going into that next year. He was a ninth grader, and he was doing a move in DC. We then now started calling it hands up.
Right.
I don't know where they didn't change the name.
The guitar, it went from the
it was the
guitar,
guitar, hands up, like that was us.
Yeah.
That's what we called it.
Yeah.
So I watched him do this move over and over and over again, and dude kept jumping and jumping. I was like, what is he doing? So I pulled him to the side. He was on my team though, but I pulled him to the side. I said, man, what is you doing? He said, man, this is what you need to do. This is how you used to do your footwork. This is how you need to get your offhand ready to make it look like you're picking up the ball. And then you throw it back under, and then you make your move.
Right.
And I brought that back from there, and like, so now you see how the signature move started to form. You know what I'm saying? So the crossover, the reason why now I went from the in and out to the cross, and the left to right crossover, Moochie, Greg, all those guys, Pep, everybody was doing the crossover, but I watched defensively how jokers would always try to get their hand on the crossover.
Right.
So when I watched that and I saw a joker like lock his feet into the ground, then now that's when my version of what's called the hesitation or the stay out, which we started calling it later, that's when I incorporated that move.
Wow. And you know what's very interesting is, going back, you talked about being, you was always intelligent. You was a nerd, right?
Yes.
And so when you start talking about playing ball, you basically took that nerd mentality and used that photographic memory to learn stuff. You watching Showtime, you're watching TV, and literally taking everything that you see from TV and mimicking it on court, and making it work for you, and then creating your own niche. But you had the forewithal to ask people for some assistance with how to do their move, and then use it against them.
Absolutely,
You know,
absolutely.
But now here's the other thing, if Six don't mind, you know, because we like people to tell their own pieces, because Six talking about, and you know, you're so humble, you talk about being the ball player, basketball and football, but if you don't mind, why don't you talk a little bit about those accolades that were acquired from the basketball and the football? Because we haven't said anything about that. We like you to do it.
Oh, okay.
Because when you tell it, it's better than when we tell. We might miss something.
Well, high school, again, like amazing career. So from the time I went down to Costia, and then now when I started to get good, that conversation happened, Mike, you might need to do an extra year to get your grades back where they need to be. Back then, wasn't Prop 48 yet.
No, you just stay back.
You just stay back, you get your grades right, and you go back. Because remember I told you that 10th grade year, I absolutely didn't do anything. So I was like, okay. Again, mother shot it down. She was like, you better be graduating in 1992. In May of June of 1990, you better be graduating. I said, Mom, please, like, I'm telling you, like, y'all not gonna have to pay for college, or even try to figure out what it's gonna look like. I said, I think I have an opportunity to get college paid for. And she was like, nah, I'm not with it. So it took my uncle, and then it took, you know, again, because my mother only came to 4 of my games.
Wow.
Supported my dream and vision of playing sports, like, because it was my dream.
Yeah.
So when I came in the house, she ain't pressed me out about it. She just, how did the game go? If we won, oh, good job, what you do? If we lost, oh, don't worry about it, baby. We win next time. That was my mother, and that's all the support that I needed.
Yeah.
I knew she was right there thinking about me, praying for me the whole time.
Right.
I ain't need her to be in the, I wasn't gonna hear her anyway.
Yeah.
So I ain't need her to be in the stands anyway. But the times that she did come, senior nights and all those different things like that, that's when I wanted her there, and that's when she was there. But going on into the basketball career, like it was, like I ended up getting like what they had back in the all DCIAA 3 times, all Met twice, all American. You know, I'm coming out. Now it's time to take visits, and again, I'm grass green. I don't know nothing
That's
what I'm doing.
basketball and football.
No, that was just basketball.
It's basketball.
Football. Stu wouldn't let me play.
Right.
So Stu would not let me play. Like the first year I went there, I started a little bit, but when basketball season started, I stopped.
Right.
And that was on me. My second year, when I went out, I sprained my ankle real bad, so that killed my football season because it was always so short. My senior year was when I was really committed and ready to go, but he just would never let me play.
Yeah.
And every time he did let me play, every time he put me in the game, who was gonna stop me?
You played receiver.
Play receiver.
Yeah.
Keith.
Yeah.
He just throw it up. I catch it, touchdown.
Yeah. So Keith Davis played quarterback, and you played receiver.
I played receiver.
And he was your point guard.
Absolutely. And he's a throw
the
me the ball.
The 1 and the 2 push in basketball was the 1 and the 2. That's incredible.
Yeah. And then even, you know, because I played safety when I was growing up. I played safety, linebacker, defensive end, wide receiver. I played a little bit of quarterback, but that wasn't I wasn't gifted to be that. And it was like whenever he would let me play, whenever he let me play defense on the safety, you throw the ball, I was going to pick it off. Yeah. Like sideline to sideline coverage was crazy. Yeah. But again, I don't even recognize how good I am in this sport. Mm-hmm. I'm just playing it like it's just because it's like a kid. It's a kid's game. Right. So I just feel like I'm bigger, I'm strong, I'm faster than a lot of these kids, and I just did what I did. So when it was some attention from college coaches was warranted, I just shot it down. Yeah. I was like, no, because I'm thinking about what it looked like on TV. Mm-hmm. I don't realize when I finally stepped foot on the college campus, I said, dang, I'm bigger than all these. But they just look massive on TV. Yeah. So I was like, man, I ain't playing football in college. I ain't doing that. Yeah. But when I was young, it was like I want to play in the NFL, because you're thinking you're going to get bigger, but you don't realize you did, but you just didn't, recognize. Because I ain't have a whole lot of exposure. I ain't go to a lot of places. Right. I didn't play a whole bunch of AAU like you was just talking about 6. Like I just didn't, nobody knew who I was. Right. I just kind of popped up on the scene out of nowhere, and because what's the name? Bone and Charlie Moe, rest in peace, Charlie Moe. Mm-hmm. Bone and them talked about this, and I never really paid attention to it. He asked me this question. He was like, Mike, you were like one of the rare guys that went straight from high school out of DC public school straight to college. And when you say Bone, you talking about Kirk Smith. Kirk Bone. Yes, absolutely. Trouble absolutely. Smith. Absolutely. Yes. So when he said that, I hadn't really thought about it like that, because it was really only a few of us that didn't have to go, some sort of JUCO route. Mm-hmm. A lot of guys still made it, but we just, academics was never at the forefront with us. It was just the game. We just love the game and love to play it, but I just had that foundation coming up, young, where academics was always at the forefront, and it was, it was my mom who instilled all that. Mm-hmm. She was somebody who had not graduated high school at that time, but she made sure me and my sister, academics was at the forefront of what we did, because she knew where it could take us and where it could propel us. Because eventually, she ain't never believed in the basketball or the football like that. But I mean, hell, I knew eventually, the air was going to go out in them, and what was I going to do? So so I made sure I almost laid an egg, almost crashed the car and all that in college a couple of times, but I refocused and made sure that for my mom that I got that degree, because she allowed me, even though she didn't want to, she still supported me when I made that move of not telling her, and then when I stayed an extra year without telling her, because I still didn't tell her that I wasn't graduating until probably a month before I was graduating.
So with the you said when you went to college, was it? So I know high school was kind of easy for you. Was college the same thing, easy for you?
No, it was a struggle initially.
So what was the struggle?
The struggle initially was because I was so green, like to the game. I hadn't been exposed to a lot, so I hadn't traveled much. We went to Boston to play, like my senior year, the end of my senior year, which was like AAU style, and you played against all of the top players, and we won that tournament up in Boston, the Boston Shootout. Joey Beard was on our team, and Eric Singletary, of course, and a couple of other buddies from back in the day. But we go and we win that tournament. That was the first time I really played on that stage against national competition. And when I went to school, it was absolutely easy, because I was just something that was different from what anybody had ever saw. Of course, I go down there with Corey Alexander, who's one of my mentors and big brother to this day. My man Harold Dean, love him to death, and Jamal Robinson, who's my roommate. Of course, Junior Burrow, Jason Williford, all that on my UVA mob down there, and some others. But it wasn't until I had my first setback, because things were moving the way I thought they should move. Well, one, before we even get to Virginia, I wasn't even supposed to be there. I wasn't even supposed to be there. I was supposed to be at the University of Michigan. That's where I was supposed to be. We go out, again, national stage, so we go out Cali, going into my senior year playing ABCD camp. This is when Sonny Vaccaro left Nike.
Yeah.
And
that's the old Adidas camp.
Absolutely.
ABCD, yes indeed.
This is before Adidas.
Yeah.
He was with Converse.
Yes, he was.
He did a year or two with Converse, then he went over to Adidas. So we go to that first ABCD camp he did out there in Converse. I remember my Converse gels, my grandmama's, all that joint. So I just go out there to play, and again, now we on this national stage, and I'm just playing. But Irk was out there, Eric Singletary was out there too. So like all the guys who were out here, Nate Langley, they was just like, man, Mike, you killing this thing out here. And I'm just playing. It just seems so natural. So Perry Watson, Steve Fisher, they come over, because I had a kid, Willie Mitchell, on my team from Michigan. So they came over to see Willie play, and it was like, who is this point guard on this team? Like, who is this guy? So as soon as we come back home, Perry Watson, Steve Fisher, they're on the phone, they come into town, they come sit down in front of my mother, they talk about the University of Michigan. I started setting up my visits. University of Michigan was one. I went to Xavier with Pete Gillen, and I went out to Long Beach State with Seth Greenberg. And then of course the local teams didn't do an official at any of the locals. The only official one I did for the local teams was Virginia.
The D1 joints out to you, Slim.
Yeah. No, and then I got a late. So again, we ain't thinking about like offers and talent. Counting up offers. Mike Bray recruited me down at Duke. So he sent me a handwritten note. We need you here. And of course, I'm growing up watching TV. So who's the most hated team? Duke. Man, I don't want to go to no Duke. I don't know. Again, I'm green. I don't know exactly what I'm saying.
From our era. Yeah. Even though Johnny Dawkins went there, that was my teammate in high school. Yes, indeed.
So I'm, again, I'm just going through the motions. I don't have nobody in my ear trying to help me navigate these waters. So I take my visit to Michigan and go to class with Jawan, and I'm hanging out with C-Webb, and the Fab Five was there at that time. So Ray Jackson, Ray Jackson, what's Jimmy? Jimmy King.
Jimmy King.
So I'm hanging with them. Jalen comes in late. Jalen comes like the night, like Saturday when it was a party. That's when I met Jalen for the first time that weekend. You know, we go in the gym a little bit, and remember Ray Jackson, he's a strapper. So he was like, young fella, like, you know, what you got? What you do, country joker? So he wanted to see the left or right. He saw it.
Hey, where to put him at? Where to put him at?
Hey, get him up out of there.
Was he in the bleachers?
He over there somewhere.
Get him up out of there.
And you know, so it's good vibes. It's just a great feeling. And I was like, man, I want to go here. Now Kevin did go with me on the visit. So he's like, all right, Mike. He said, I see. He said, let's wait. Let's get back. Let's talk to my pops, and then, you know, let's get it done. So I'm like, all right, yeah. So I tell them jokers essentially. I said, yeah. I said I ain't gonna say nothing yet, but I said I'm gonna be up here with y'all. Because we played around a little bit, and they were kind of looking for a point guard to kind of assist with what Jalen was doing, because they really didn't want him on the ball like that. And they wanted to be able to give him some relief, you know, take him off the ball. And you see eventually as the years went on, that's what they eventually found, you know, and a couple of guys that could eventually move him around and off the ball with some smaller guards compared to what those guys were. So I come back home, and we're out of school that Monday when I get back. And, you know, Tuesday comes around, and I'm excited. I said, oh, man, I can't wait to, after my first couple of classes, I'm going around, talk to coach. So I go around, talk to coach. I say, coach, I'm ready. He said, Mike, I need to talk to you. You need to sit down for a minute. I was like, okay, what's going on? He was like, how was the visit? I said, it was good. He said, so what do you think? I said, I want to go. I said, I want to call him.
Quickly, I want to go.
Yeah. I said, this is where I want to be. Like, you know, I love the conversation they had with my moms, the things they talked about, the alumni base. Like, so everything after basketball that they talked about, like, it was just the perfect fit. The style of play was exactly what I was kind of used to, and Hargrove said, man, somebody signed. You know, you're not gonna be able to go.
Dang.
And I cried for 2 days. Yeah. Cried for 2 days. I immediately went to the steps, the back stairwell, and then just cried, man. Just cried, like.
See, we knew you was gonna be a great guest right off the break. That's what we do on the men's corner. We don't have no problem with crying as men. If we talk about it, so
I didn't know none of that shit right there.
Yeah, this is all new stuff.
I thought he was straight football and boogie that basketball too. Man, cause I see the highlights they be putting up. Him and Davis will put up from time to time the football stuff, but it don't very seldom be basketball. And with the college thing, like I know coming out, when you came out, you was got caught up in that lockout.
When I was coming out of school.
Yeah,
absolutely.
How did that mess with you mentally?
I mean, it was just another. You think about it, being cut 4 times.
Yeah.
7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, and how that bothered me, you know. And then of course, not being one of the more popular students, then I get to a school that I'm in love with, somebody signs before I do. So I go to Virginia, meningitis, I'm almost dead, in a coma for 2 days. Yeah, like that's what set me back in Virginia. Like I was in the normal mix of the rotation with Corey, because Virginia they wanted to play a faster paced game.
Right.
That's what they recruited me and Jamal and guys like that down there for, to pick up the pace. And everything was going well, and I got sick, felt like I had a cold, and I couldn't shake it. And then we played, I think, a Russian team or something, some team like that. And after that game, man, like I just almost like passed out, you know. But I didn't. I made it back to the room, and I can't remember much after that. Like I don't know how I got there, any of that stuff. But then I woke up in the health center, and then it was a blur, and then I woke up in the hospital. And they were doing everything, trying everything. The spinal tap, like they were just trying to figure out like what was going on, because nobody could figure it out. And then I guess when I was down, you know, and out, I can think that's when they finally realized what it was. Yeah. And so coming out of that meningitis, I'm thinking again, I'm ready to go because I'm grass green. I done lost a bunch of weight. I ain't had much weight to begin with.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I picked up a few pounds from lifting. That was my first time lifting when I got to UVA. So I lost all that weight, all that strength, all that stamina. But it feels like, you know, and I'm sitting for a minute, for probably about a month, you know, before I really start getting back out there on the floor, just in practice. And so when I start feeling like I'm ready, I'm feeling good in practice, Corey done broke his foot. We played Connecticut that first game out of the hospital. Played University of Connecticut. Somebody y'all may be familiar with, Mr. Ray Allen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they beat us. They beat us by 40. And then, because Corey broke his foot like in the first couple of minutes of the game. I'm down. So now it's just all the new guys or guys that were kind of untapped at that point. So they blew us out. And, you know, so then, you know, the story goes, Corey's now he's in a boot, or he's in a, did they put, I don't know if he was in a boot. No, I think he had a cast. He had a cast. So he on the little scooter thing. I'm in street clothes, and that's how we were for like a month. You know, so when I felt like I was getting back and I was ready to play, and it was, you know, now these are my guys. Harold is taking over the helm because it wasn't no other guards left. You know, Jamal is vying for minutes and then with everybody else, and I'm thinking I can help. And I'm going to coach. He said, yeah, coach, I am. He said, all right, be ready today. And when I try to get ready or be ready or think I'm ready, wouldn't put me in, wouldn't give me a shot.
So do you think that piece there, in terms of having a career at the next level, because the ultimate was, okay, I want to go to the NBA now. Do you think that piece right there and that lockout coming up, do you think that kind of was a major factor in derailing your ascension to the NBA?
Absolutely.
So no doubt you could play in that with that caliber guy.
Yeah, I mean, 2 guys on the team, 3 essentially on that team played in the league.
Yeah.
So, and Corey would tell me all the time, Mike, all you need is your shot.
Yeah.
But I just never got it again. I transferred out, went to Loyola, of course, sat out that first year, and then I was first team All-MAC, led that conference in scoring twice, became one of the top 20 players in the history of that conference. But coming out, like I didn't even get an invite to Portsmouth. I was the best player in that conference. They always had me preseason player of the year, but they would never give me player of the year because more of a northeastern type conference. Loyola was way down south, so just wouldn't get the votes. You know, we always kind of finish in the middle of the pack or below, because Loyola just wasn't a basketball powerhouse.
So you experienced the politics of that piece
Absolutely.
firsthand.
Absolutely.
Nothing nobody's telling you about. Right?
Yeah. Saw it firsthand. You know, and then, you know, as I'm coming out, it's a lockout.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, what else could go? What else could happen? And from there, I said, okay, it's time to pivot. And that's what I ended up doing. I took my degree. I was working at Crestar Bank in the marketing department, and I was a part of that marketing push where they changed their name from Crestar to SunTrust.
Right.
And
so essentially we went from athlete to really coming into the personal side of life again, leaving the athletic side. Let's go into that piece.
Yeah.
So with all that happening, what would you say to the youngest coming behind you, with you being a coach and all of that, with all of that, like going to one school, supposed to be at that school, and can you talk to them about, like, with all that turmoil going on in your life, like, how would you slow that down for a kid if you coach today?
Well, the messaging has always been the same. Just make sure it's your journey. I think the biggest problem that we run into now, the journey is the parents. The kid is just responding to the recommendations of the parents. And in most cases, these parents have never done it, they've never seen it, they've never experienced it, but they think they have all the answers because they've watched it. But it's very different when you've watched it and you had an opportunity to experience it and sort of let it play out. So some of the kids, I can tell when they're going to be successful, because you can tell when it's their journey and you can tell when it's not their journey. The ones when it's not their journey, they rarely make it.
Right.
And then parents, you know, come up with a million excuses, and I watch those kids struggle mentally. because I saw it in myself.
Right.
So I can see that look in their eyes.
Right.
I can see, their body language. I can see how they have a multitude of excuses most of the time.
Right.
So like it's always somebody else. They never look inwardly.
Yeah.
And I think for me, what I did most of the time, I always looked inwardly. Even when, I would have my roadblocks, I always thought it was something I was doing or wasn't doing right. So, like once we started to get older and I started to get into the politics of it, I understood politics played a role, but I then also been like, dang, was I in the gym enough? Was I working out enough?
Yeah.
Was I really giving myself this? Was I confident enough when I went to this place and that place? Because your confidence starts to waver, when you miss opportunities because maybe you're not good enough when other folks are saying you are. So I just try to keep that messaging now with kids. Make this your journey. And when your mental health is challenged, speak up. Like say something. Don't mask that. Don't hold that in. Because when you hold it in, it doesn't come out good.
So let's hold right there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let my mind change all these batteries because I want to get back into that part right there, like holding the stuff in. Because me and you had conversations before about the depression piece of like sports and life. Like you being a man first, athlete or athlete second before you became a family man. So we gonna take a break real. Put this piece together, but we're gonna jump right back into we're gonna jump into the mentality of the fact that you had to deal with depression, how you was able to stabilize your mental health through all of these balances from high school, college, and not being able to get that look that you wanted to be in the NBA due to a lockout. So let's dive into that piece.
Well, what ultimately ended my career, I would say, and it ended my career mentally. Of course, it was a lockout in '98 when I came out, so I'm in an office, and coming outside of the office, the lockout ended that following January. Oliver Candy, I think, was the first pick that year, and ended up being a bust. But everything sort of, and I wouldn't say a bust because he made it to the league, but he just didn't have probably a career that he wanted to have. But the summertime rolls back around and now things are opening back up. So I go out to LA, playing in the LA Summer Pro League, playing with a free agent team. So my agent, put together a couple of guys and, so we would play against other teams. And he also was able to hook up a workout with the Lakers. So we go and we scrimmage them, and this is when Phil was just getting it. So Clemens was coaching the summer league team. They had Tyronn Lue, Donald Williams out of North Carolina, and John Celestine out of Villanova. Those are the guards that the Lakers had in their camp. And so they're trying to teach them the triangle offense. And again, so you go back to what you were talking about earlier with me just being a student of the game.
Right.
So that's why I've always sort of been really, really good defensively, which why I am a defensive coordinator, which is the tag that Eric gave me 16, 17 years ago, and I've carried that tag ever since because I just sort of studied the game like that. Right. So we out there, LA Summer Pro League, and we scrimmage in the Lakers, and busting their ass. Like it's so easy. I'm picking off passes because everything with the triangle was a habit.
Right.
It was a habit too. So it only took me a couple of possessions to figure out what that habit was, and they could never get the counter because it always was some misdirection to a counter, and I would just keep picking it off every single time. So we bust their ass, and we up 20 after the first quarter. He said, let's do one more. We still up 20 at the end of the second. He said, fuck. And this is Clemens. And then he said, all right, we do one more. Then we blew their ass out by 30. Like, and I'm just, like, it was just so easy. And so they go over Hargrove, my agent, and they say, "What you think? You want to bring my man in the camp?" He didn't look up. He didn't look over. Like, he probably didn't realize, because he was so consumed with what he just saw his team not be able to accomplish.
Right.
And he's like, no, I don't want to do nothing. Like, we good with what we had. Like, we just going. And I was crushed.
Wow.
I was crushed because, again, I thought this was an opportunity. I sort of earned it. I showed it.
Right.
And I stayed away from the game probably about 4 or 5 years after that.
Wow.
Like, I didn't go back in the gym.
So that tapped into a mental.
Absolutely, that's when it started.
Yeah,
that's when it started. That's when my mental health was really challenged. That's when the depressive side that I didn't really recognize in the moment was actually happening. Because whenever anything about basketball, I didn't want to watch it on TV. I didn't want to go to the gym to do it. I didn't want to go play pickup. I didn't want to do anything. I said, nah, and I can remember being away for all of those years, and it wasn't until I finally was able to kind of talk things out and realize, Mike, it wasn't you.
Yeah.
Okay. But remember, I told you, like, up until then, I always thought it was just, man, maybe, like, what am I not? Because I wasn't a gym rat. I wasn't.
Right.
I was just absolutely blessed to be ultra talented.
Yeah.
Like, I could go anywhere and play any kind of game. Like, it just didn't matter. So I said, man, I wasn't in the gym enough. And I tell the youngins to this day, because I still think that was an aspect or an element of it. I wasn't in the gym as much as I probably should have been. You know, like, I took for granted my talent. I took for granted my access in those moments. And I just didn't go. I wasn't locked in like how I was locked in when I left Suitland to go to Anacostia. Like, you know what I'm saying? When I was on a mission. And I think it was because I was afraid that I could fail. Because that's what I kept running into. I kept running into those roadblocks, and then now when you were that close, and we're talking about close to where life is different. Where now you leave life and you go to where that's not reality.
Right.
That's not what reality is. Yeah. So, and I don't know why they always call it that, but like, that's absolutely an entertainment space that less than 0.001% of people can get to. And I was so close, and I was so afraid at the same time.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And that would spark up, like, it happened at UVA the first time when, like I told you, when I got hurt and I tried to come back. And I didn't understand, like, why? I said, I'm ready to boogie. Why he not letting me come back?
Yeah.
And I was crushed then, and I took a class, my second semester at UVA, sports psychology course. And that's where I first learned about that concept of that element of the fear of failure. And as I'm reading that chapter, I'm like, damn, that's me.
Yeah.
That's what I'm struggling with.
Yeah.
Because I was about to quit.
Right.
I was about to come back home.
So that was the opposite of the if the husband was the fear of failure, then the wife was the fear of success. And so those two in of itself was problematic. But yeah, wow, that's interesting.
So now when you understand those depressive elements, and again, being a student of it, and always looking to study, always looking to get, like, just learn more. Like, I just always love to learn.
Yeah.
It was. I didn't think it would rear itself again, because I went to Loyola, got very successful, don't get player of the year. Very successful, don't get player of the year. Very successful 3 straight years, don't get player of the year. Then don't get invited to Portsmouth. Then I go down to Portsmouth, they take me down there, can't get on the team.
Yeah.
So, like, there are a whole bunch of gaps in this where I ran into those roadblocks where my mental health was challenged. And I just, like, my biggest thing was at the end, which I wouldn't say I regret to this day, because it shaped me and made me the person I am, and I've been able to touch the lives that I've touched. But I ran.
Yeah.
Like that, and that was the first time I ran. All those other times I was still fighting. But that last time, when he said he didn't want me in that camp, and my agent talked about going overseas, I was like, man, I don't want to do all that, man. I said, no. I said, this was it, man. This was my shot. This was my chance. And I said, I'm good.
You ain't go over the water.
I ain't go over the water. I wouldn't do it. He kept trying. He bought me plane tickets. He kept trying to send me. I wouldn't go. Sean Waters, that's my man. I don't know if he's still on this earth, but good dude, good guy out of Philadelphia. And I thank him for, the time he spent with me and trying to help. So,
if it's any consolation to you, just something's in my brain right now, and since I always do this, I like to say that maybe the reason why he didn't want you on that team, because you, with your little smart ass, figured out how to challenge the most recognized and talked about and successful offense that created championships, and that was the what? The triangle. So how the hell this kid, who is he, that's figuring out how to manipulate what my triangle is supposed to do? And sometimes other people's perception of who they are wouldn't allow for them to say, hold up, we need this kid because he knows how to do it. Or even allow for another team to say, we better pick him up because he knows how to do this.
Yeah.
They thought that they were smarter than the player.
Oh no, I agree with that. I think ego weighs heavy.
Without question.
Ego weighs heavy.
Wow.
And I also understood, like, as I got older, that the business side of it too.
Yeah.
Like, when you think back, like, those guys were under contract. Donald Williams was the only one that wasn't, and they didn't keep him anyway.
Wow.
So, but Celestin, Tyronn Lue, like, they were under contract.
Right.
So there was really no space there. I just didn't recognize it and understand it in that moment. But that's where Sean, my agent, that's where his access was, and I just didn't have those team of guys that could orchestrate, more exposure and get me somewhere else, like right in the mix where it would be perfect timing and I fit exactly what they were looking for. So I did. I fled, like I ran, and when I finally resurfaced, it took me a minute to get back to the level of transparency I would always kind of have, because it was in Run and Shoot back when it was called Run and Shoot. The guys were like, "Damn, Mike, I know you. Damn, you've been over that water the last few years," and I would never respond to them.
Right.
That's what jokers thought I was. Like, they didn't see me for a minute. They thought I was overseas playing. I wouldn't say nothing. And it wasn't until a minute, till I said, nah, I ain't over that water. I just didn't want to do it. And then I started telling my story. But it still was only to a few, never really to the masses.
Right.
But then when I understood, when Eric asked me to start coaching with him at Civil Friends, that's what I saw. My life was, that's what it was about. That's what God had ordered my steps to be able to now share those experiences. And through those years, we got 3 professional guys, 2 in the NBA, 1 that's overseas now, and
how many
NFL guy. I don't even know how many championships. We stopped counting.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. They back to back.
Yes, indeed.
I was there.
We do a lot.
Yeah.
We do a lot of winning, but that was it wasn't by chance. Like, it was. We built it. Like, we sat down in that office when he first got there, and we said, you know what? One, we want to be the toughest out that you're gonna face.
Right.
Ain't caring about wins or losses. We were building a program that had never won in the past. They would win. They think they had 1 or 2 championships in the history of the school, and that was just for a conference. But we was like, we just wanted to be the toughest out.
Right.
And he said, when we want to build it to one point, be a national powerhouse.
Yeah.
And 15, 16, 17 years later, that's what it is.
Back then we called that the school of the embassy. And a little bit of everybody, but that was a true melting pot.
So with the coaching and all that, man, let's tap into your adult life, man. Like, how does that help you formulate, this? Because I always seen you, man. I know when we played, only one person, folks, who can come around. That was yours.
Yeah.
Everybody else folks were monkeys.
Yeah. that good old 3 aces work there. Rest in peace, C. Rest in peace.
I see, like, not only like you formulated your childhood to manhood, and in between there, like, you don't just help kids, you also help adults.
Yeah.
So like piece a little bit. Like, what put you into those type of realms of helping folks?
The transition to manhood was because I was bad. I was bad. Like I was in these streets the wrong kind of way, heavy, and most of it was because of all the failures that I had. You know, so being the dirty youngin' on the block, because you don't have the latest clothes, you know, couldn't get the used jeans.
Yeah, I remember.
You know what I'm saying? Couldn't get the Van Crack joints, all that. I ain't had the Reebok boots, none of that. I couldn't do none of that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So once I sort of kind of got Tanakasi and the attention happened with the females, it was ugly.
Yeah.
So I was constantly in trouble. I was constantly lying to him. I was constantly just trying to get my way.
I like the way you put that. Get his way.
Yeah, and it just kept going. Like, and it just seemed like they just weren't gonna stop. And I'm talking about like some beautiful women. Yeah. So not just regular. It's just some beautiful young ladies, and then maybe when I got to about 22, 23, like I was finishing up at Loyola, and of course I met my wife that you guys talked about my first year at Virginia, but I couldn't get right. I tried, and I couldn't get right, and she knew it, but I knew it. You know, because a friend of ours walked me around, because I was quiet. I just stayed in my room. I just kind of chilled. So I was like the angry dude from D.C.
Yeah.
Like now, like we wonder why jokers be thinking I'm so angry, but I guess I do have this look that always kind of this serious look.
Yeah.
But I'm not angry all the time. One of the nicest guys, you know, that are around. So when I was in that coma and I woke up, Melanie Gant at the time was sitting right there in the chair, and I didn't even really know her yet. I had just met her probably a month before. When I met her, I did tell somebody, I said, man, you know what? That's gonna be my wife.
Wow.
I don't know what it was. It was something about her aura. It was something about like just her personality, and of course I said that, and then still went off and did all types of everything, but. Even when I woke up, man, why? Because it was over the Thanksgiving break, and she should have been back home.
Right.
I was like, oh man, she right here. I said, wow, God, you telling me something?
Yeah.
And you know, so fought that as long as I could fight it, and then eventually, like it was just one day, just after all of the nonsense, I was like, man, you know what? I'm just tired of this. I'm tired of doing this to females. I'm tired of lying to them. I'm tired of allowing my insecurity to take over. Because at the end of the day, like it's not really about the pursuit of them. It's the insecurity of me not having females like me or be attracted to me when I was so much younger.
Right.
And of course, I'm this little nappy head, you know, pissy little youngin'. Like, you're not supposed to get the attraction, but I don't know that. I see other dudes, you know. Kissing and playing high, go get it and all that, and I ain't getting none of that.
Oh man, not the tag joint.
Man, I ain't getting none of that action. Wow. So I just couldn't handle it. It was coming at me too fast, but eventually I was like, you know what, like this I got to stop this. And so I stopped making it about the physical act itself. And from that point on, I needed to be like mentally stimulated to talk to any kind of female at that point. You know, and again, like I said, struggled a little bit again, but then eventually we found ourselves across that finish line, and we got married in 2000, and it was not easy, like absolutely, because we had never lived together. So remember, C's like. He's always against shacking and all that, so we never lived together. So of course, those first few years is trying to figure each other out, and how we sleep. You know, before you ain't really sleeping, you just doing what you do, and then you kind of going about your business. But now we're just figuring out everything. What's the occurrences of the trash going out. Like so, she may wanted to go out every day. I may wanted to go out once a week. Like. You know what I'm saying? Like how many dishes in the sink is enough?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Before you gotta start cleaning. And she like, don't have one dish.
Because that's how she grew up.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, the sink got to be empty every night.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, it's just a little bit. Because you think about it, man. Think about when you growing up back in the day in this joint, man. We project Brentwood Plaza, man, 13th Rhode Island, man. Like it's roach infested, like it's mice running across your feet, like. I live hard, man. Like it was a rough life coming up, and folks like so now where we were in that moment when we first got married, man, my refrigerator was always empty. Always empty. So I had a mental block with that. So I stayed shopping to make sure the refrigerator stayed full.
It had to look good.
And then when I opened the door, like I wanted to see stuff.
Yeah.
So Slim, like it's gonna spoil and everything. But I just need to see stuff. That was just but it was based on an insecurity, that I had from the past that I had never gotten over. You know what I'm saying? And we grew together, had some bumps, early years were fun, and some middle years, then we got good again, then we got rough again, and of course we've had those different discussions about divorce and separation and all of this stuff, but at the end of the day, like, it always became a fight, you know what I'm saying? And it was a fight for family, community, you know what I'm saying? Like, because like that was more important than anything else. Because I think when you kind of get to that point where you can't get right, and my pastor taught me this, like he said, anything goes wrong in this relationship where y'all can't stay together, it's gonna be on you. And I carried that with me. Like the success or failure of this relationship is not gonna be on her, it's gonna be on me. And I gotta make sure I put in the work and I do the work, and then of course we do the work for it to last. And we've been able to going on 24 years in December, and just we both made it to 50 together. Like we grew up together. We met each other at 19 and 18, and so like it's man, it's amazing to kind of be here.
It's something you just said. I don't think we understand. Like men's shoulders are wiser than the woman's shoulders. So we're supposed to take on more.
Absolutely.
And that conversation is not had enough. When you just said that, it took me there with the fact that we always blame mothers, but we carry the brunt of most of everything that goes on. You say you got that from your pastor, and to hear you say it without, it's so many people too, right? Because I done fucked up something. I ain't gonna say a lie to you, man. At times I can't get right, and to listen to you, like 24 years later, and I was there in the beginning. Like we were there, like. Cause nobody coming around, what? No. Like Mel became 3/8. And I ain't put up not one shot. I ain't know a basketball team.
I thought she was a statistician.
It's a basketball team, and to hear you say that, man, it is amazing. Cause I've seen failure a lot, and to be around brothers like yourself, man, to see success. I think Faheem had a guy on my cousin Delron, and he's a young father. And Faheem says, I might have stopped Faheem in his track, like, you can't tell him, man, you ain't do it. Right? And that's like me trying to tell a married man what to do when I ain't done a goddamn thing. And listening to you say those things, man, means the world to me, and it'll mean the world to a lot of us that are feeling just like myself in that aspect. 14 years, how many kids, and what's going on with the kids?
Well, we
24 years?
24. I'm going to get that decade back, 24. Well, we have 2 kids together. We have one that I had before we actually got married. So, like, you see how that crept itself in there. Because a year before we got married, we thought it was done. We thought it was over. It was actually that summer of coming back from LA, and I was like, man, like it was it, So just started to move on, and my daughter's mother, she's amazing. So no knock on her, like Wasn't anything she did at fault or anything like that. Like I said, we thought it was done, and so we started just kind of kicking it, not really anything real serious. And as we started to get a little more serious, like I just had this feeling come over me. I was just like this, something's not finished in this relationship. Like, I didn't know, that she was pregnant or anything. I just like, something's not finished. So I kind of went on to my own corner for a little bit, for like a couple of weeks, and all I kept thinking about was Mary. That's all I kept thinking about. And then eventually I called her back and begged, and it didn't happen overnight. Her actually giving me another opportunity, but I begged and I begged and I begged, and she started to give me a little opportunity. Then I find out that my daughter, like, she's pregnant, and I was afraid to tell her, so I didn't tell her for a long time, until she was almost here. My mom was like, eventually you gotta say something to her, and I did, and that was one of the toughest moments of my life, expressing that and saying that to her in that moment, because of what the direction we were moving in. But I just, everything after that, I just tried to take all of the right kind of steps to make things right for my daughter, as well as, of course, for my wife. Because once I got married, like that she was first. That's the order. God, then my wife, and then the kids or the children. And of course we had 2 more after that. And we've been able to make it, the 24 years, and like I said, it wasn't easy at all. Like, I always often tell men, like, think about your woman, or the woman that you, and then put your mother in that place.
Just like shit out of me.
You keep it as simple as that. You keep it as simple as that. Because you can't say you have this love for your mom, and you're treating another woman who could potentially be the mother of your children in that fashion. So we gotta protect our women out here. Like, we just have to, every sense of the word. And ended up in education and in schools, and now seeing young women today, I'm absolutely extra careful with trying to help them maintain their own personal mental health, because they are, man, what they have now with social media and the things that they're exposed to. And I used to be like, man, there ain't no way, like, that their life is harder than ours. Like, we grew up in the murder capital, and it was 500 murders a year. It'd be 100-something murders now.
Right.
But being a technology guy, I started to think about it differently some years back, and I started to recognize, what's worse than that is the ability to control somebody's mind.
Yeah.
And that's what social media, and that's what this technology, and that's what these weapons of mass distraction have done. And I try to teach from a technology standpoint, even though that's what pays me. I try to get youngins to get away from it, because remember when it first came out, all it was about was the likes.
Yeah.
And you would have somebody put up a picture, and they're waiting for that first like that never comes.
Yeah.
And they feel like life is over.
Yeah.
Because to them, it's a million people watching them, when nobody's watching. Nobody's watching, but they think a million people are watching.
Yeah.
So we gotta be careful, as men, when it comes to protecting our women, and that's what I did, man. Like I was able to be accountable for all of the things that I've done. No excuses. It wasn't because you did this or didn't do this. I always was able to bring it back to nah, that was what I was dealing with. That was my insecurity. That was my hang up. That was me. That was selfish, and that's all it was. I was just trying to fill a void that wasn't there, that had nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
And once I understood that, because that's what we have to do. they have to be considered first. Like if we consider them first, like then a relationship can absolutely be so much easier.
Yeah.
But when we don't consider them first, because it is like I'm trying to, like Pastor used to teach us this all the time. Like I'm trying to outlove her. That's what I'm trying to do. Like that's the only thing I compete with her in is how much I can love her more than she can love me. And I don't want her to love me back. Like I ain't doing it. Like so I'm not the dude. I'm gonna cook tonight. I'm like, Sam, I just cook. You ain't going. Yeah. I can cook. She can go upstairs and go to bed. She ain't got to touch me. I'm good.
Yeah.
As long as she's satisfied in that day, in that moment, I'm good. Because I know eventually, because of how the world, we're in the seed time of harvest. I'm always trying to plant a seed.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, I'm trying to plant a seed.
Man, those are real words of wisdom, man.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, and just Six just said it. If you experience it, you can learn from those experiences. Like I truly, I'm one of those people who believe that there's no such thing as a mistake. And I believe that we've had some awesome learning experiences based on favorable or unfavorable decisions that we made. But everything that happens was supposed to happen.
Absolutely.
We were just supposed to make some adjustments, and so those experiences. But no one can ever challenge your abilities to make changes based upon the experiences that you had. So if I say, Mike, what did you do? You say, well, this is what I had to do. It may not work for me.
May not.
But at the end of the day, it's what worked for you. And eventually I got to make the adjustment to see how I can get it to work for me.
Right. And I do. I never try to put on anybody what me and Melody have gone through or lived through or anything like that, because it may not work.
Yeah.
Like we've had a joint bank account since we've been young.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We've been broke together and we've had a little bit of money together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so we not rich because you're never going to get rich as long as you still got that 9 to 5. Like, because all they're going to do is pay you enough money to come back on Monday. Friday, going to pay you enough to come back on Monday.
Yes,
So we know how that works. But, like you can still attain and grow and get yourself to a certain wealth level where you can just enjoy life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and we've been able to do that. Like, so I told her money would never come in between us, and sex would never come in between us. You know what I'm saying? So, like because those were the things that caused so many divorces. Like folks just, like come on, son. Like it something you gotta always look internally. If you always blaming externally, how you gonna control that? You have zero control about what happens out there. But you have all the control of what happens in here. So if you notice, she didn't ask you to take out the trash 3 times and you still ain't do it. And then when you finally do it and you expect a favorable outcome, she's like, you missed 3 opportunities and she told you to take out the trash and you didn't.
That's me.
You know what I'm saying? So like, once you get away from yourself and then now you start serving, because that's what we're here for. We're here to fellowship and serve. That's what we're here for. And if you're not here for anything else, if you're here to take care of your own, like, I guess needs or wants or desires, then you're not living life the right way. And it's going to always be hard, because then all you're going to do is keep planting that seed of selfishness, and what you're going to keep attracting. Somebody that's going to be just as selfish.
So I'm going to ask a question, because I need some help over here. I serve like a motherfucker.
You absolutely are.
I serve. I ain't even fake. I don't look for nothing in return. I just can't get this motherfucking love life together. And I'm laughing, but this is some serious question, man. Like, what would you give a brother like me, man? Because I know, I ain't asking, I know that you tap into adults and kids on a regular basis. And you'll see it, you'll say something. That's one thing about you I've never seen you waver away from. You gonna, like, people be like, man, he look mean, but you gonna tell a motherfucker what you see. So what would you tell a person like myself to be like, all right, man, nigga, get this shit together, man?
Well, one, I would ask you to sort of write down what were some of the last things been a major part of my life. I've actually grown up with you guys, like to be honest. So to watch you guys grow and be men and watch you serve the community the way you guys do, like, I appreciate the invitation, of even being here. Like I said, I usually don't talk much. My pastor always said, God rest his soul. He said, when I do talk, Mike, people listen. I said, so he was like, so Mike, make sure like that you talk. My grandfather used to always get on me, you know, he always ask me, how you doing? What's going on? I'd be like, nothing. And he was like, no, like, tell me what's really going on with you. So I noticed, like, you know, when I just started to talk and I started to open my mouth, I didn't realize like how many people it was helping until folks would come back. Not that I was doing it for that, because in most cases I tell folks when I'm talking, I'm usually talking to myself.
Right.
Like, so when you sit in front of a room when you're giving a seminar, in most cases you're talking to yourself. Like if you're a motivational speaker, which I've done in certain instances, like it's about your ability to really stand there and talk about your life and talk about how you've been able to get past and get beyond and get through things. So I would tell folks, like, absolutely, man, like, men, black men, take care of your health. Like our health, like it has to come first.
Yeah.
Like make sure you stick with your annual or your biannual, you know, or every 2 year check-ins and checkups to make sure your health is where it's supposed to be.
Right.
Make sure you start eating right. You know, make sure, you know, like everything about what you want to do is setting the tone for those that are coming after you. Because you want to, when we leave this earth, and we're going to leave it, just like me and Eric would always tell us when we talk about coaching, man, you just want to leave it better than the way you found it. And when I talk about my family and what we've done, you know, and I'm talking about my immediate family, like with me and my wife and my children, it is. I want to make sure I leave this earth better than what I found it for them. And if all I worry about and concentrate is on those three, because my wife will be with me or going with me eventually, you know, years after, of course, I'll make sure she's good. But if the concentration is those three and everybody thought like that, then it will become millions. But I think because we never think about it in that light, like I said, when we talk about relationships, like think about entering a relationship and all of the things that you're doing to that woman. Now imagine that being your mother and somebody doing it. So you got to treat life the same way. Like I want to walk out the door and not have to worry about anything. I love the way my kids can move about this city and not worry about anything, because I don't put that stress of what this city is. But if we take the news and everything that they give us to live in fear, to be in fear, to be afraid, like I teach my kids, like don't live like that. Like our steps are ordered, so all we got to do is continue to take them. But our problem is we won't take them. We want to watch somebody else's steps and we won't take out for the fear of it not going the way we think it should go. So take them steps confidently, move through life confidently, be a good person to folks out here, be accountable for when you've wronged somebody. Don't discredit or discount their feelings. You know what I'm saying? Like their feelings mean something. Like, because we were talking about this the other day, like just because you didn't intend for it to mean that, it impacted that person in a certain way. You gotta honor that, and you gotta take accountability for that. And if we walk around and just move like that, this world would be a much, much better place. And so again, I thank you guys for having me, man. I thank you guys for being there for my family through all these years, man, and continuing to pray for us and look out for us, man. And I'm just, you know, I'm excited. I'm excited about life. I'm excited where I am. I'm excited for the school year that's starting up, and I look forward to, you know, the basketball season when it gets here in November. You know, so thank you, gentlemen. I love you guys.
Man, I love you too, man. And thank you for taking the time to chop it up with us, man. And with that being said, the men's corner, we're gonna shut it on down, and we see y'all on the next episode.